my journey like many leaders look at their journey and ask sort of the bigger question, what was this for? What did it mean? What am I part of? How did I make a contribution? How did I make a difference in the lives of others? What was my purpose? And how do I make it count every day? Which are really profound, important questions that we need to ask. And I go back to my history and my roots. And one of the key figures, my father instilled in us, my mother, the ability to be able to focus on being able to be excellent now, to never, ever give up, to constantly grow and learn. So education was very important to gain the intelligence, to be exceptional at what you do, and be able to care and give to other people. And so that was part of my whole family's experience, and my father was committed to that and rose to unprecedented ranks in the Air Force at a time when blacks weren't promoted to senior levels of military leadership. And he rose to teaching at the Air War College, and he was a candidate to go into development to be a general for the Air Force. So I've been involved with a great leadership like that surrounded us. My grandfather, on one side, sat there and was part of the black elite intellectuals that built a way and developed the United Negro College Fund. So they were part of the presidential kitchen cabinet. It was called the Black Kitchen Cabinet. And what that was were these black intellectuals, many of them who were professors at Howard University, that would dress up as kitchen staff in order to sneak past the press and to have private meetings with the president as they crafted out the civil rights movement, if they crafted out different strategies, because there's so many different moving parts, and the White House needed to be in the pulse of that and also have their hands in the development of that at a grassroots level. So my grandfather was part of that Black Kitchen Cabinet, and he was part of Roosevelt's, he's part of Kennedy's, and they would meet and strategically craft what is going to be the way to be able to grow and integrate and empower minorities in this country, including women. And that was through this corroboration of the colleges that became the United Negro College Fund. So that was part of my background. Now, on the other side, my other grandfather was studying to be a lawyer, and that was very unusual back in the 30s to be able to, for a black person to be even preparing to go to law school. Sadly, a couple of months before he got and completed his law degree, he quit because he realized that there was no opportunities for a black law firm, and certainly it created a lot of different problems. So he was frustrated and in some ways felt beat down. But watch the impact that he had, what he would do as part of one of the 3 jobs he held to be able to provide for his family. He was a service attendant at the elevator, a porter, I guess you call it, that would take the dignitaries in the White House up and down the elevator. And he became close and friendly with Herbert Hoover, the president at the time. And so it turns out they would engage in long conversations. The president recognized that my grandfather was a very learned man, a very studied man, and many times would ask him his thoughts on some of the most important, critical global issues that was facing him. And he felt comforted by the wisdom that my grandfather was able to give him. And this was all done in elevator rides. What's my point here? My point here is that everyone at every moment in all their capacity has the capability to make a difference. And in fact, in everything that you do, in every organization, in every business, in every sales exchange, in every competition on the NFL field, there's an opportunity, there's a relationship that you can pour into that's infinitely bigger than you are. And it's part of your contribution, it's part of your purpose, it's part of your reason, and it's part of the gifting that was put inside of you, which I call you're releasing God's promise in you. And so that was part of my background. And on my family side as well, there was a great pastor, and his name was Vernon Johns. And Vernon Johns was the pastor of Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. And that church was, like many of the churches of the Deep South, they talked about the church business and they talked about the faith and the belief, but they also talked about economic enterprise, how the black church needed to be focused on economic enterprise and empowerment. And so Vernon Johns, my great-great-uncle, was one of the first ones to craft a way to gain leverage in order to get greater rights, a greater voice, a greater vote, a greater place, and greater economic presence in the economy. And that was through the withholding of the support of the black and minorities and the bus community. So it was the architecture that was laid down as the bus boycott by Dr. Vernon Johns, my great uncle. And so that was part of the strategic excellence that I grew up in. So it seems like, even though I played in the National Football League, I can point to all different directions of my family and see some core qualities. One, the commitment to be servant leaders. Number two, the willingness and the understanding that they have a role to make a difference. Number three, in the middle of the adversity, in the middle of making the impossible happen, I mean, we're talking about places and times when blacks didn't have the right to go and drink out of the same water fountain, or you couldn't eat at a certain restaurant. I remember driving across country and there were only a few hotel chains we could actually stay in, and how we always had to pack extra food just in case the restaurants wouldn't feed us. But in the middle of that adversity, what were we focusing on? How to get empowered, how to get a better education, how to build your business, how to build relationships with other people, how to connect on a whole different level. And I want to encourage you with that history and that wisdom for you to identify for yourself, where is that history that you're connected to? Where is it that you can now step upon those shoulders? And now how can you make a difference now in this really crucial time in our history? We are at a turning point, unlike I've never seen. And now it's when we must bring our best game to the table.